All right, cool. So let me share my screen and we'll get it going. Today is a much needed one. Honestly, I feel like it was perfect timing because a lot of people have been coming up with this stuff with being stressed, with having a lot going on, feeling burnt out, just overwhelmed with the process, and having trouble really staying the course, whether that be scheduling or just like any type of stress that's going on. I feel like a lot of people recently have been coming up with this, and perfect time myself, honestly, same. Like stress, anxiety, burnout, not quite, and I'll talk about that a little bit today, but definitely very, very high. And I've dealt with this a lot in the past. So these is just things that have helped me throughout my process. And I hope that they can help you today, whether you can take action on them, or maybe you're watching this recording a little while from now and we are trying to manage stress. So let's get into it. So you have a lot going on, right? Take a deep breath. All right. You have a lot going on, and it's not the first time that you've had a lot going on, and it's not the last time that you're going to have a lot going on, right? This is very normal, right? It's common. So today's lesson, we're going to talk about how to tame the beast, how to tame the burnout, the stress, the anxiety, hopefully normalizing it a little bit and giving you a bit of fresh air so that you don't fall into that cycle of self-sabotage and paralysis, which often happens where we have so much going on that honestly we don't want to do anything and we can't take any action. So we're going to learn how to tame that beast, and we're going to practice how we can avoid future burnout, right? Again, you have a lot going on. So take a deep breath, and we're going to work on that today. Or maybe you just are in a really good place right now and you're watching this and you just want to know how you can manage things in the future, right? Or you want to think about how you've managed things in the past, right? So, number one, when we have a lot going on, I've said this a million times to you guys, things are going to come at you, but you are not a pity party queen. You are not a woman that just sits in that. I have so much going on and I'm not going to be able to do my workouts and I can't meal prep and this and that. And we come up with every single excuse in the book. It's just because I'm stressed and I want to sleep and I want to do this. All right. That's not who we are. We are not pity party queens. We are problem solvers. And when you put yourself in that position of being a problem solver, everything that comes at you feels a lot more in control. Right. And I've definitely fell into this. I fell into having so much going on that I either want to isolate myself or I don't want to take action or I get very frustrated with everybody around me. And once I put myself into the position of being a problem solver and practicing the things that I've taken, that I'm going to explain today, it's helped me a lot more with that stress, with that overwhelm, and most importantly, avoiding burnout. And for this, right? So again, we are not pity party queens. We are problem solvers. You are a boss woman. You get shit done. And most importantly, you maintain your peace throughout that time, because we live in a culture that says that you have to give your all, you have to burn out, you have to be tired, you have to be down to the ground in order to be successful, but you do not. You get shit done, but you maintain your peace. You get shit done, but you do not feel overwhelmed. All right. You are in control. And again, put yourself in that position. If you're not feeling this way right now, remember that we talk about these things as the person that you are, as the person that you are becoming, because I want you to step into that person. Even if you're feeling like, ooh, I get very easily anxious. I get very easily stressed. All right. The way that we talk, our language is very important. So stepping out of that lack mindset that drives hustle, grind, and burnout, and we are allowing ourselves to rest, regroup, and achieve more. So everybody tells us, you got to do, you got to do, you got to do, you got to do, even with your fitness journey, before you even start, you got to work harder, you got to add another day, you got to do double sessions, you got to do 75 harder, you got to cut this, you got to do more cardio. And we say, we are going to lift an hour, 5 days a week. Right. And we are still achieving more because we don't have to burn ourselves out and we don't have to give when we are completely taken away from ourselves. So for number one, recognizing signs. And then once we recognize those signs, to take action. So again, I want you to find your place in this lesson. Are you somebody that gets burned out? and then you take the action steps in order to not be burnt out anymore? Or are you somebody now that has recognized those signs coming up and we don't get burnt out anymore? All right, again, just personal experience. I've dealt with burnout many times. When I first started my business, I literally gave my whole entire world, my whole entire everything to this business here, and I literally felt terrible. And if anybody was there from the OGs when I was doing Zoom calls and those recordings, I was working out 6 times a week. I was working like freaking 12 hours a day, and literally I couldn't feel my body at one point. So we don't want to get to that point. And it took me learning that, and maybe for you it's going to take you really crashing hard to learn that that is not what we need to do. And we can achieve either the same amount or we can achieve so much more without getting to that point. So recognizing the signs, right? The signs of burnout, the signs of overwhelm, the signs of anxiety. Number 1 is trouble sleeping. All right, change in appetite. I've told a lot of you this many times. When you get stressed and you're like, I'm feeling hungry, or you start stress eating, or, all that hunger starts to creep up, sometimes it's not really hunger, it's just stress management. So even today, I was feeling very overwhelmed and I really wanted to just get up and go get a snack. And I was like, no, I'm just like stressed and I'm overwhelmed. And I went outside and I sat outside. And then next thing you know, I realized I wasn't really hungry. I didn't really need a snack. I was just very, very stressed. But again, we're talking about it being a little bit more severe. Trouble sleeping is something that I definitely get. And I've heard a lot too. A lot of people say that you can't fall asleep, you can't stay asleep because you have so much in your head. And yeah, that's definitely happened to me this week. So again, we don't want that to happen. Hold on. Joanne, can you mute yourself? Okay, got it. I forgot to add the automatic mute, so sorry about that. All right, next. Another signs of stress, burnout, overwhelm, anxiety, procrastination, poor mood, self-doubt, where we feel like we are not giving enough, where we feel like we are not enough, right? Lack of motivation to continue driving, to show up to the gym, to do your meal preps, to really do anything. Mood change, maybe you're very irritable. Physical fatigue, you can start to feel it in your body, right? So all of these things, if you start to notice these things, poor mode instead of poor mood. If you start to notice these things start to trickle up, we need to take action, because again, you do not have to live in this. Too many people literally live in this state on a day-to-day, and that does not serve you at all. So number 2, how can we get in control? Life is hitting us from all different directions. We have work, we have to meal prep, we have to go to the gym, we have friend events. My mom is going through something. I have to do something for her. I have a family event. Literally just so many things. All right, we have to order stuff. We have to clean the house. I don't know. How can we get in control? And this is where we are going to do 2 different things. Number 1 is the mental, and number 2 is the physical. All right. Number 1, mental. Visualize, get in control, release, and plan. So again, personally myself, things that I've struggled with is anxiety and being able to stay asleep at night or go to sleep. So I try to go to bed and my mind is just racing because I have so many things to do. It even got to the point for me, I'm just going to open up, obviously, because it's easier, where it was so bad that I would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, I didn't send this to a client. When I first started. But these things can happen to you with work or with anything that you have going on, right? They can really take control over us. But when we get in control and we see ourselves in control of all of these things need to get done, but I'm getting all of these things done, it can feel a lot better. So for mental, right? Visualize getting in control, releasing, and planning. So if right now you have a piece of paper and a pen and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, or you just want to practice because you want to get better at it in the future, I want you to get a piece of paper and you're going to basically separate it into 3 categories, right? Something like this. Wait, 1, 2, 3. All right. So ask yourself, what is stressing me out right now? Right? Or what is everything that I have going on right now? Write down what you have going on for work, what events you have coming up, things that you need to order on Amazon, the groceries, literally anything. What is stressing me out? What are the things that I need to get done? All right, that's going to be your first category. Put it all down. My mom is stressing me out because she keeps saying this, or like my car broke down and I need to take it to the mechanic or whatever. What is stressing me out right now? Number two, what don't I have control over? All right, so write down all of the things that you, from this list, what are the things that you don't have control over? Because there is a lot of things that we stress over, and we bring into the present what we have to even wait for in the future. For example, like you're waiting for an email, right? You had to reach out about something and you're waiting for an email and you're like really anxious and you're thinking of like all of these things that could be happening and all of the scenarios that could play in your head, and you're already thinking of, if they answer this, I'm going to say this and this and this and this, right? But realistically, you don't even know if they're just going to be like, hey, like everything's good, like you got it, you know? So what don't you have control over? Things that you don't have to control over, you need to let go. If your friend's going through something, if a family member is going through something, if something's happening at work, you're literally anything, whatever you don't have control over, you have to release. Because if you keep holding that in, you're going to drive yourself insane over this thing that you cannot even change. Your friend is going through something and is stressing you out. Like, you cannot change certain things. You're waiting for the mechanic to give your car back, and they said it's not going to come back until a week from now, but you really need the car. Like, you cannot change the fact that that car is not going to come until Friday. So what are the things that I don't have control over? I'm going to release. Now, what do I have control of? Because there's most of the things that are stressing you out are things that you actually need to get done. You got to get shit done, and I get it. All right. So when you write this all out, what are all the things that I need to get done? For example, I have to meal prep, I have to go to the gym, I keep saying I have to order things on Amazon because I have to order my probiotics. I have to order this, I have to clean this, I have to pick up this from XYZ, I have an event, right? What are all the things that I have control over, and what are all the things that I need to get done? Once you do that, when will I get it done? And schedule that out. All right, so it's a simple 3-step process that helps us release the things that we don't have control of. And all of the things that are stressing you out, you can put them into your control. Because when we visualize it and when we see it on paper, when we see it on a schedule, it can get rid of the fear of like, oh my God, I have to go to Target, I have to order this, I have to go to that event. But when it's in your schedule, you know, like, I don't have to freak out about going to Target because I'm going to go to Target on Thursday at 5 o'clock. So yes, you have a lot to do on Thursday, but you're going to do this at 5, you're going to do this at 7, you're going to do this at 9. So all of those things now are more in control. And I know this seems very, very simple, but some of us are not doing it. I even had a call a couple of months ago. I've done this with a lot of you, right? Like super stressed. We got a lot going on. We can't seem to get our workouts in. Like, you know, life just happens. And I do this. And then I'm like, okay, so you have this, this, this. What about you do this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, this on Thursday? How are you feeling now? And you're like, wow, I feel so much better, right? Now, number 2 is the physical. When you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, when you're burnt out, when you've got a lot going on, physical self-care. Take a nap. Maybe you are tired, right? Take yourself on a date. You have a lot going on. You've had a really rough week. Take myself on a date. I am definitely going to do that this week. Take a day off. Cry. Get creative. Maybe you're going to paint. Maybe you're going to color. Maybe you're going to draw. Maybe you're going to dance in your living room. Exercise. A lot of times too, with burnout, with stress, with anxiety, I've even felt this, is sometimes we feel, and I'll go back to this, sometimes we feel like everything's in control and we know exactly when things are going to get done, but physically, we still feel that stress and anxiety. We still feel it within us. Exercise can actually help a lot with this. If it gets to that point where you're genuinely feeling it physically, we can even adjust your workouts. So I've had a situation where I was like super, super anxious and I didn't really know what was going on. I did know what was going on. I had a lot to do, but I knew exactly when I was going to get it done, but still I was feeling very anxious. I went into the gym and I was like, honestly, the last thing that I want to do is lift right now. The last thing that I want to do is like weight and sets and things like that. So I was like, I'm just going to go on the Stairmaster. It was perfect timing. And I was listening to a podcast on this psychologist that was talking about how burnout actually works in our body. So this is a very side tangent, but I think it will help you one day. She was talking about, in order to actually release that physical stress, we need to, or that mental stress, sometimes we need to release it physically. So doing things like heavy lifts or even tightening up your whole body can help our body actually release that stress. And she gave an example. Basically, like, I want you to picture yourself, you're getting chased by a lion. Right, you're getting chased by a lion, you're running, and then you reach this house, you get to the house, and the person that is at the house shoots the lion, right? So that problem that you just had completely disappeared. But you're running, you can still feel that stress, you can still feel that anxiety within yourself, because other than the running, you actually didn't do anything, right? Now, another scenario is you're running, lion's chasing you, go inside the house, you push on the door, the lion is trying to get into the door, and you're pushing with all your might into that door. You're putting all of this effort, your body is physically doing it, and then the lion goes away. You will feel that sense of relief because you got it out physically. So if you're ever to this point where you're like super anxious, where you're super stressed and you want to get a workout in, but again, you can't seem to want to get a lift in, go on the Stairmaster, go for 20 minutes. And I promise you, once your heart starts beating and once you start feeling that, it's going to feel so much better. So that day that I did this, that I was listening to this podcast, I was like, holy shit, like, I don't even want to get on the Stairmaster. I don't even like the Stairmaster. I don't even like cardio. And I didn't want to get off because it felt so good. And when I got off, I was like, wow, my body feels much better because I got rid of that physical stress that was happening. All right, so that's one example. But again, sometimes you just need to take a day off. So that's why I gave a bunch of different ones. So you need to find what's best for you. And on the opposite day, have a rest day. Maybe have a rest afternoon. I don't know what your job is, but maybe you're taking a half a day and you're just going home and you're just going to reset. All right. And most importantly, find it within you. Right? So I want you to really find here what works for you because everybody is different. Now, you might notice with this, I put the mental before the physical. Because if you go straight into the physical, and I know a lot of people do this, I'm really stressed out, I'm just going to take a day off, I'm going to go out with my friends, I'm going to go out to eat. Like, it doesn't really get rid of the problem. You still have all of those things going on. So before you take a nap, before you do all of these things, or maybe take a nap first, you really need it, but before you do all of these things, make sure that you're actually putting yourself in control of what you need to get done. Because then when you do all of these things, you can feel a lot more present and you can actually relax, right? You can actually go to sleep. If you're dealing with stress at night, that anxiety of not being able to fall asleep because your mind is just racing, get it out. Get it out of your head and put it on paper. Get it out of your head and put it on paper, right? Write it down, make it seem in control. Every night before I go to sleep, I write down my schedule. I'm like an hour by hour girl. Every single thing that I need to do. And sometimes when I don't do this, I'm like, oh, I'll just do it in the morning. I lay down and I'm like, I'm gonna do it right now because it makes me feel a lot better. I don't have to think about tomorrow because everything that I have to do tomorrow is in my control. All right. And with this as well, finding what works best for you, I do want you to find it within you and not just other people. So if you have a partner, if you have a best friend, if you're really close to your parents, your siblings, literally anything, sometimes we want to let them help us release that stress. And I actually had this conversation with one of you this week of like, yeah, I go to my partner and XYZ, but I was like, what's your outlet? What do you do for yourself? You can't always just go to them because when you start doing this for, like, I'm not saying you can't let anybody in your life, no. But when you're doing this for yourself, again, it puts us more into that position of power. I am that boss woman. I am that girl that gets shit done, right? I am that girl that maintains my peace. All right, but the last thing that I want you to do is to not do any of this, and you have so much going on, and life's just coming, and then you're dragging, and you're dragging, and you're dragging, and you're dragging this stress for weeks and days, and it's just coming, and you're not doing anything about it because you're like, nah, this is what I have to do. I just have to get shit done. Like, I'm just gonna keep going and going and going to work and going hard and going this, and you're just running. Because what's gonna happen, you're just gonna run into a wall, and you're not gonna be able to push any further. Or you're gonna hit this wall where you're either gonna say like, fuck this, I'm done, or you're just gonna feel terrible. Another thing that can happen is we can have, and we will, even related to this progress, we start having like a downward spiral where instead of making progress, we're actually regressing in our journey, just because you were just doing this for way too long that you start to kind of resent all of the things that you were doing. Right? You were hanging out with your friends and you were giving so much time to them. Imagine you always gave your time to every friend that you had and you never gave time to yourself. That would make you very resentful of your friends. We don't want to make that, you don't want to get resentful of your fitness journey, of meal planning, of taking care of your health, right? And what can also happen is that burnout that you're feeling within yourself can also be contagious to other people, the people in your household, your partner, your kids, your family, your friends, right? Because we are feeling so burnt out, we are stressed, and we start putting this on other people, and we start projecting, and then we start lighting their fire. Or if it's just you and your partner, then you guys are having issues, and the house is just like, that's what we don't want, right? And that is all coming from you are like a flame right now, and you're putting it on other people as well. So what we want to do here is we want to pull back. So yes, you have all of these things to do. Nicole, you're telling me I have to like take a day off, a half a day? I have so much to do. Yes, you're going to pull back. You're going to pull back an hour. Maybe we skip down on whatever we had to do tonight because we really needed to regroup and I needed to write everything down and I needed an hour to myself. But by you doing that, tomorrow is going to be so much better. And then we're able to move forward. Right? So this is me. That hand right here, I'm grabbing you and I'm about to launch you forward. And then, of course, we want to avoid future burnout. And by the way, if this is kind of resonating with you, obviously, if you guys have questions, you know, you can unmute at any time. But if this is resonating with you, just know that, again, this is very common. And I've had a lot of clients that I even had one client say like, yeah, every 3 months or like every 6 months, I forgot what her timeline was. Like, I just hit this burnout and I just, you know, keep going. And then like eventually like I do something and then it just keeps happening. I'm like, why do you keep letting that happen? Why don't we start taking action before you burn out? Or once you burn out, why don't we take a step back? Because she would literally burn out and then drag for like months or weeks, right? So imagine you're super burnt out and your workouts start turning to shit for like the next 2 months, where if you took a day off, you would work out much better the next 2 months, right? So that's what this whole slingshot is. We want to take a step back in order to launch forward, right? I'm not saying like, hey, like, don't do anything. Like, be proactive with that step back. And then we want to start avoiding future burnout. So these signs that start happening, again, perfect timing for me. Like, your girl has been having trouble sleeping. So I've been noticing the signs, right? I've been practicing these things. I've noticed what has been reoccurring in my past, and I no longer am going to hit that wall, right? I'm becoming someone that takes action, right, as soon as I can. So once you start recognizing any types of these signs, we go into this right away. So yes, I haven't hit burnout, but if I'm having trouble sleeping and I'm like feeling that stress, right, I can't keep pushing into that because it's only going to get worse. And I can't keep grinding, working 12, 16 hours, whatever it is you're doing, or like literally going to 7 events in the course of 7 days. You can't keep doing that. So once you start feeling these signs, like, oh, I don't even want to go to this event, right? Then we need to take a step back. Once you can recognize the signs, we do this again, and then we practice some sort of self-care. And then this starts to become something that is more of a daily routine, so that we don't even get to the point where we see these signs, or they just become less frequent. I'm not saying that you're never going to have a very stressful time in your life, but if you're somebody that gets stressed very easily, or if you notice these things start coming up every month, every 3 months, it's very important that you start doing this on a daily basis, right? Planning that out. Again, this helps me. And I find that it has helped a lot of you. And if you ever plan out your day, and you do it once, you do it twice, you do it for a week, and you realize I'm really bad at this, just know everybody is when they first start. Planning and scheduling and getting more in control of these things, especially when you tend to get stressed easily or you get anxious, right? You're not going to be perfect at it. So give it some time. And then with that as well is just rewiring your brain with positive affirmations. I know it's super cheesy. Some of you have really gotten into it. Some of you maybe are a little bit resistant of it, but it really is just creating that new version of yourself, right? That higher version of yourself, because she exists and she is there and she gets shit done and she maintains her peace and she is calm, but you need to remind yourself of that. So when I was really struggling with like anxiety and like very, very high anxiety, every morning I would just tell myself, I am calm. Like I am calm. I have everything under control. I am calm. I still use that honestly all the time because I feel like I'm very high sprung. So I tell myself I am calm. At first, I didn't believe it. But when I started telling myself and telling myself and telling myself, it made me act as that person in that moment. So when I tell myself I am calm in the morning, or you tell yourself whatever it is that you need to tell yourself, you start acting as that person. You put yourself in that position. So when you schedule out whatever you need to do, when you're putting everything on paper, just like this, give yourself some type of affirmation that you need to step into, right? Put some here. I am the success story. I attract all good things. I am enough. I make things happen. Right. So these are things that can happen on a daily basis, again, so that you don't have such stressful days. You have a lot going on, but we can't live every single day just feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And of course, then we start to do weekly things. I don't expect you to take a spa day in your like room or just take a day off or do a million things every day. That's unreasonable. Self-care can be simple every day, but weekly, do something for yourself, right? Whether that be going on self dates or taking certain days off or sleeping in on a certain day. For me, you guys probably will. There's like a 10% chance that you will hear from me on a Sunday, because I realize that that's my reset day and that's my self-care day, and I use it to regroup and I use it to plan and I use it to sleep in because that's what works for me. So doing something weekly, taking yourself out to eat, whatever it is for you, again, I want you to find what works for you because everybody is different. Do something weekly, do something daily. This is just a side note because this is something that has helped me a lot too. If you, same thing, you have a lot going on and you're feeling stressed, and a lot of people benefit from putting things on paper. If you, I just recently got this thing on Amazon and I have the link here. So if you guys want it, I can send it to you. But they're just like little sticky things and I put them on my fridge. And I recently started doing it. I think I got them like 2 weeks ago. And oh my gosh, it has helped me so much. Basically, we have like 4 different ones. And one of them is groceries, one of the things that I need to do on a day-to-day. So when something comes up, right, I know I need to get it done, like order my probiotics that I just mentioned. I just write it on there. And then as I go throughout my day, I know what I have to get done. And then like I know what grocery list, I know what I have to do for the house. And I usually put the days in there as well. And that has helped me feel more in control because every day I kind of see it and I know when certain things are going to get done and I know I'm not going to forget. So also people that kind of struggle with like anxiety and you have these things kind of just consume you. It's feeling like you're going to forget to do things, writing them down. This has helped me a lot. So this can be a thought for you, for your family. It helps me a lot. So yeah. And that is it for today's call. That was pretty quick, I would say. Thank you again for being here. As always, remember the key words: food is love, strength is power, you are in control, you are calm, and you take care of your mental health, your physical health, your stress management. And yeah. Ooh. Any questions? How are we feeling about that? Anything resonated with you today? I'm so tired today. That one was hard for me. I'm here. All of it. Love that for you.
As someone who's always experienced burnout every 6 months, and before I started this program, I never realized it was burnout until like the very end. And now I think I'm more aware of it, and I forced myself recently to like take the days off, to kind of relax, to take time for myself because I give it all to other people, but I never get it back for myself. And it is nice to just like not do anything. It's also nice to be taken care of. My mom was here this past week and I did nothing, and it's been so nice.
I love that. For somebody like you too, I think I've mentioned this to you. Like when we schedule in kind of like allowed rest days, it also helps us not feel like we have to be doing more. When we schedule in like this day is just for rest, it's almost like we're being productive as well. That was something for
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
and I also think like sometimes you have to like force yourself to understand that just because you aren't doing something that day doesn't mean that you're not being productive. It's because your body like needs it. And like when you're not around people, you start to feel it like, oh, I actually really did need this. I actually am so glad that I don't have to talk to people right now because it's like not only physically but like also mentally. So I feel like as someone who's always hard on themselves, it's been nice like though recently to like actually accept that and be like, okay, I need this and that's okay.
That yeah, it's a different type of productivity for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
If
And I
go
feel
ahead.
like I might sorry.
You're
And I
good.
feel like my workouts have been so much better because I just go into the gym and like even one day last week, like I had events and I was like, I'm going to the gym. Like I'm going to the gym. Like I'm wired. And it wasn't a full workout, but I got 30 minutes in and I was like, okay, now I'm tired. And it like propels you that when you do take the appropriate amount of like time off and rest, that it does benefit you. So even though it was a day that I didn't think I was gonna go to the gym, I actually ended up going to the gym and it was nice.
Love that.
30,000 steps later, but you know, it's fine.
No, that is awesome. Yeah, that is great. Somebody just said, love rest me days definitely helps me unwind my day-to-day stress. Yeah, I think we had another lesson on this too for anybody watching the recording. I did it all on like this. We live in a very like masculine energy society, not in terms of like literally just go and do, and we always have to do more. And I don't know if you scroll on Instagram and there's like those motivations of like do like if you're an entrepreneur, you also follow entrepreneurs that are like, if you're not working 17 hours a day, you're not doing enough. Like, no, that's not what we need to be doing. We can be equally productive, if not get more done when we're actually taking care of ourselves. So just getting better at that. And also, this stuff can come in seasons. Like Jen said, if you have seasons like this where maybe, like for me, I have certain days of the week that are more stressful. Maybe you have certain times of the year that are more stressful. That's when you just have to hammer it in and just understand, like, okay, how am I managing my stress? But don't live in that constant burnout because it's not like, oh, yeah, it's just normal. This is my job. I'm just going to be burnt out every 6 months. No, it doesn't have to be that way. Even if you have a lot to do, because I'm not going to take that away from you. Anybody else want to bring anything up? Anything that resonated with you? Sweat. No, we're good. All right. Cool. So we will leave it off on there. Today, take some time, practice what we did today. Even if you're watching this recording or you're on this call and you're feeling good, because sometimes we have those seasons too where you're like, life's good right now. I think I said that like 2 weeks ago. What's your win? I was like, life's good right now. And literally 2 weeks later, I'm stressed as shit. But so even if you're stressed, if you're not stressed, do practice what we did today, because practicing that is going to help you actually practice it when the time is needed. So make your list. What is everything that I have to do today? Put it all into one column. What are the things that I have zero control of? Let that shit go and tell yourself all the positive affirmations that all that stuff is going to go very well. And then what are the things that I do have control of, and put them into a schedule. When am I going to get them done? Then you really have control over them, and see how that feels for you. Let me know how that goes. And yeah, I'll let you guys off with that one. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday, and I will see you all next week. Bye.